I thought I had found the one. Amber and I had been planning our dream wedding for 8 months, and everything seemed perfect. We had the venue, the flowers, the photographer, $20,000 invested in what was supposed to be the best day of our lives. But then, Amber started talking about the perfect wedding aesthetic, about the right energy, about how everything needed to be just so. I thought I understood what she wanted, I really did. Until the day she sat me down and said the words that made my blood run cold. Words about my brother Liam. Words that changed everything. Before I tell you how this wedding planning turned into the biggest decision of my life, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe, because what happened next will make you question everything you thought you knew about the person sleeping next to you at night. Now let me take you back to where it all started to unravel. Let me tell you about Liam. He is 19 years old now, but I still remember the day Mom and Dad brought him home from the hospital. I was 9, and I had never been so excited about anything in my entire life. I promised myself I would be the best big brother in the world. When Liam was 4, we got the diagnosis: autism spectrum disorder. I remember sitting on the stairs listening to my parents talk to the doctor, not fully understanding what it meant, but knowing that my little brother was going to need me even more than I had imagined. Growing up, I became his protector. When kids at school made fun of the way he flapped his hands when he got excited, I was there. When he had meltdowns because the cafeteria was too loud, I was the one who sat with him in the quiet hallway until he felt safe again. Liam is brilliant. He knows more about marine life than anyone I have ever met. He can tell you the scientific name of every species of whale, their migration patterns, their feeding habits. He loves old animated movies, the ones from the 90s, and he can quote entire scenes word for word. He needs quiet when things get overwhelming, and he has these little quirks that make him who he is, like the way he rocks slightly when he is thinking hard about something, or how he only eats his food if nothing on the plate is touching. When I was 21 and Liam was 12, our world shattered. Mom and Dad died in a car accident on a rainy Tuesday night. One drunk driver, one moment of carelessness, and suddenly I was not just a big brother anymore. I became Liam's legal guardian. I was barely old enough to take care of myself, but I had made a promise when he was born. I would always protect him, always be there for him. So I stepped up. I got a better job, moved us into a bigger apartment, learned everything I could about how to support someone with autism. It was hard. There were days I wanted to break down. But every time I looked at Liam, every time he smiled at me or shared some new fact about dolphins, I knew I had made the right choice. 3 years ago, I met Amber at the marketing firm where I had finally landed a decent position. She was smart, beautiful, and confident. We started dating, and I was honest with her from day one. Liam was part of the package. If she wanted to be with me, she needed to accept that my brother would always be a priority. And at first, she seemed to get it. She really did. I remember the first time she came to our apartment for dinner. Liam was nervous, hiding in his room. Amber did not push. She just sat on the couch and started talking about this documentary she had seen about humpback whales. Within 10 minutes, Liam had emerged from his room, eyes wide, launching into a detailed explanation of whale songs. Amber listened. She asked questions. She seemed genuinely interested. There were other moments, too. Small things that made me think she really understood. Like the time she bought Liam a coffee table book about ocean life for his birthday. Or when she sat through all 3 Toy Story movies with us because Liam wanted to have a movie marathon. He started calling her my future sister, and my heart just about burst every time I heard it. I started thinking about the future, about marriage, about building a real family again. So when I decided to propose, I did it at the beach. Liam's favorite place in the world. I wanted him to be part of that moment. After Amber said yes, the first thing I did was run over to where Liam was collecting shells and tell him the news. He hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. And in that moment, everything felt right. Then came the wedding planning. At first, it was exciting. Amber had always been organized, detail-oriented. And I appreciated that she wanted everything to be special. But somewhere around month 3, things started to shift. She hired this wedding planner named Diane who had very specific ideas about how everything should look. Suddenly, every conversation was about the cohesive aesthetic, about the color palette, about making sure every single detail was Instagram perfect. I tried to be supportive. I knew weddings were important to some people, and if this made Amber happy, I could roll with it. Then came the first comment that made me uncomfortable. We were going over the reception schedule, and Amber suggested that maybe Liam should not give a speech. I was surprised. I had assumed my brother would be my best man, would stand up there and say a few words. But Amber put her hand on my arm and said, "You know how he gets sometimes with loud noises. Maybe the pressure would be too much for him. I do not want him to feel stressed." At the time, I thought she was being considerate. I thought she was thinking about what would be best for Liam. So I agreed. We could skip the speech. A few weeks later, it was the suit fitting. I had planned to take Liam to pick out his own vest, and Ty let him choose colors he liked. But Amber had other ideas. She showed up with pre-selected options, all in very specific shades that matched her vision. "We need everyone to match perfectly," she said, smiling. "The groomsmen all have to look cohesive." Liam tried on the vest she picked. It was stiff and uncomfortable, and I could see him tugging at the collar. But Amber kept saying how handsome he looked, how perfect it was. And I convinced myself it was not a big deal. It was just one day. He could wear the uncomfortable vest for one day. But the requests kept coming. 2 months before the wedding, Amber sat me down and suggested that maybe Liam should not come to the rehearsal dinner. Her reasoning was that it would be too overwhelming for him, too many people, too much noise, and we needed things to run smoothly. I pushed back this time. I told her that Liam was part of the wedding party, that he should be there for the rehearsal. Amber's eyes filled with tears. She said I was not prioritizing our big day, that she was exhausted from all the planning, that she just wanted one evening where everything went perfectly. I felt guilty. I felt like I was being difficult. So I gave in. Liam stayed home from the rehearsal dinner. A month before the wedding, Amber had another suggestion. Maybe Liam should only come to the ceremony. Maybe he should skip the reception. That way, he would not have to deal with the crowds, the music, the sensory overload of a 5-hour party. I started to see a pattern forming, and I did not like it. I called my best friend Kyle that night, told him what was happening. Kyle did not mince words. "Bro, this is not normal," he said. "She is trying to push your brother out of your wedding. You need to pay attention." But I was in too deep. I loved Amber. I had invested so much time, so much money, so much emotion into this wedding. I convinced myself that she was just stressed, that once the wedding was over, things would go back to normal. 3 weeks before the wedding, everything exploded. Amber came to the apartment on a Tuesday evening. She said we needed to talk seriously. Liam was in his room watching Finding Nemo, his favorite movie, the one he had seen probably 200 times. Amber sat down on the couch, folded her hands in her lap, and took a deep breath. "Reed, I love you," she said. "But we need to talk about Liam." My stomach dropped. "What about him?" I asked, even though part of me already knew where this was going. "I have been thinking," Amber continued, "and maybe it is better if he does not come to the wedding." I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. I could not breathe. I could not process what I was hearing. "What did you just say?" I managed to get out. "He is ruining the wedding vibe, Reed," she said, and her voice was calm, rational, like she was discussing the flower arrangements. "You know how he can be unpredictable. I just think it would be better for everyone if he stayed home." "Ruining the vibe," I repeated, my voice hollow. "He is my brother. I know, baby, and I am not saying I do not care about him. But this is our day. We have spent $20,000 on this wedding. I have been planning for 8 months. I do not want anything to go wrong. And you know how he gets. What if he has a meltdown during the ceremony? What if he makes a scene at the reception? I just want everything to be perfect." I was shaking. My hands were trembling so hard I had to clench them into fists. "Are you seriously asking me to exclude my brother from my wedding?" I said. "I am asking you to prioritize us for once." Amber shot back, and now there was an edge to her voice. I have been so patient, Reed. I have been so understanding. But this is our wedding day, our one special day, and I do not think it is too much to ask that we have it the way we want it, without having to worry about whether your brother is going to make the guests uncomfortable. Make the guests uncomfortable, I echoed. And there it was. The real reason. It was not about Liam's comfort or well-being. It was about appearances, about the perfect photos, about what other people would think. Think about the pictures Amber pressed on. Think about trying to coordinate photos when he is rocking back and forth or flapping his hands. I just want beautiful, normal wedding photos, Reed. Is that really so terrible? I opened my mouth to respond, but before I could, I heard a sound, a small hurt sound from the hallway. I turned, and there was Liam, standing in the doorway of his room. His face was pale. He had heard everything, every single word. "It is okay, Reed," Liam said, and his voice was so quiet, so small. "I can stay home. I do not want to ruin your special day." His voice cracked on the last word, and something inside me broke. I looked at my little brother, the brother I had protected his entire life. The brother who had lost his parents and only had me. The brother who was standing there willing to sacrifice his own feelings, his own place in my life because someone had made him feel like a burden. Then I looked at Amber, the woman I had thought I would spend my life with, the woman who was asking me to choose between her and my family, and in that moment everything became crystal clear. If I married Amber, this would not be the last time. There would always be another reason why Liam could not be included: birthday parties, holidays, family vacations. She would slowly push him out of my life, out of our lives, until he was nothing but an obligation I visited once a month. I saw my entire future laid out in front of me, and it was unbearable. I stood up. "You are right," I said to Amber. Her face lit up. She thought she had won. "Oh, Reed, I am so glad you finally see. You are absolutely right," I continued. "Someone is ruining the wedding vibe. It is you. The wedding is off." The color drained from her face. "What? No. Reed, you are not thinking straight. I have never been more clear in my life," I said, and my voice was steady, now strong. "We are done, Amber. Get out of my house." She stood up, stumbling slightly. "You cannot be serious. You are throwing away 3 years. You are throwing away our entire future over this." "No," I said. "I am choosing my family. I am choosing the person who has been there for me through everything. The person who never asked me to be anything other than who I am. I am choosing my brother. Now get out." Amber's face twisted. She started crying, then yelling. "You are insane," she screamed. "You are going to regret this. You are going to die alone, taking care of that burden. Everyone is going to know what you did. Everyone is going to know you chose him over me." I walked to the door and opened it. "Leave. Now." She grabbed her purse, still screaming, still crying. She said horrible things on her way out. Things I will not repeat. Things that proved I had made the right decision. I shut the door behind her and stood there. For a moment, my heart pounding adrenaline, coursing through my veins. Then I turned around. Liam was still standing in the hallway, tears streaming down his face. "You did not have to do that," he whispered. "Yes, I did," I said, walking over to him. "You are my family, Liam. You will always come first. Always." He crashed into me, hugging me so tight I thought my ribs might crack. I hugged him back, and for the first time in months I felt like I could breathe again. The next morning I woke up with a sense of purpose I had not felt in a long time. I made coffee, sat down at my laptop, and started making calls. First, I called Diane, the wedding planner. I need to cancel everything I told her. The venue, the catering, the flowers, the photographer, everything. She tried to talk me out of it, said I would lose money, that I should think about it. But I had already thought about it. I had thought about it all night. Cancel it all, I repeated. Some of the vendors were understanding. Some were not. In the end, I got about $12,000 back. Not bad, all things considered. The money had never been the point anyway. As I was going through the cancellations, something occurred to me. The honeymoon. Amber and I had booked a 2-week Caribbean cruise. $20,000 for a luxury suite with a balcony all-inclusive, leaving in 3 weeks. The same week our wedding would have been. I called the cruise line. The reservation was in my name. I asked if I could change the second passenger. They said yes for a small fee. And just like that, I had a new plan. I walked into the living room where Liam was eating cereal and watching a documentary about coral reefs. I need to talk to you about something, I said. He looked up concerned. Is everything okay? It is better than okay, I said, sitting down next to him. How would you feel about going on a cruise with me? 2 weeks in the Caribbean. We would visit 5 different islands. There is snorkeling, and they have a marine biologist on board who does talks about ocean life. Liam stared at me like I had grown a second head. Are you serious? Dead serious, I said. You and me, little bro? The trip of a lifetime. His hand started flapping that beautiful quirk that Amber had found so embarrassing. He was grinning so wide, I thought his face might split in half. When do we leave? He asked. 3 weeks, I said, and I have never been more sure of anything in my life. The next few days were chaos. Not from the cancellations, but from Amber. She called constantly. I did not answer. She left voicemails. So many voicemails. I saved every single one. The first few were tearful apologies. Reed, I am so sorry, she sobbed. I was not thinking clearly. I was just stressed. Please, we can work this out. I will do better. I promise. But I did not call back. Then, the messages changed. By day 3, the tears were gone, replaced by anger. How dare you do this to me? She hissed into my voicemail. How dare you humiliate me like this? I have to tell everyone the wedding is off. Do you know how embarrassing this is? You are choosing a child over your future wife. You are pathetic. Day 5 brought desperation mixed with rage. My friends are laughing at me, she said. They are asking questions I cannot answer. Just call me back. We can fix this. We can figure something out. Please, Reed. But there was nothing to figure out. She had shown me who she really was. The worst voicemail came on day 7. I almost deleted it without listening. But something made me press play. And I am glad I did because I needed to hear it. I needed the reminder. Your weird brother who cannot even function like a normal person, Amber snarled. I was doing you a favor trying to give you a normal life. But fine. Have fun being a babysitter for the rest of your life. You will die alone taking care of that burden. No one else will ever want you. No one else will put up with your baggage. I sat there staring at my phone for a long time after that message ended. Then I forwarded it. I sent it to Kyle. I sent it to a few other mutual friends who had been asking questions. I sent it to people who needed to know the truth about why the wedding was canceled. Within hours, my phone was blowing up. People were horrified. Several friends called to apologize for not seeing it sooner, for not realizing what Amber was really like. Even Amber's mother called. She was crying. She said she had no idea her daughter harbored such thoughts, that she was ashamed and sorry. I told her it was not her fault. We cannot control who our children become. 3 weeks later, Liam and I boarded a cruise ship bound for the Caribbean. He had packed 3 books about marine life, his favorite stuffed dolphin that he had had since he was 5, and more sunscreen than any human could possibly need. As the ship pulled away from the dock, Liam stood at the railing watching the land disappear. He turned to me with the biggest smile. This is really happening, he said. This is really happening, I confirmed. The next 2 weeks were the best of my life, better than any wedding could have been. We snorkeled in crystal clear water and Liam saw sea turtles for the first time. I have never seen someone so purely happy. He floated there in the water, just watching them glide past, and when we got back on the boat, he talked about it for 3 hours straight. Every detail, every movement, every pattern on their shells. We attended the marine biologist's talks, and Liam asked so many questions that the biologist actually invited him to a private session. They talked for 2 hours about whale migration patterns. In the evenings, we would get dinner and then watch the shows on the ship. Liam loved the magician. He kept trying to figure out how the tricks were done, whispering theories to me in the dark theater. We stayed up late on the balcony looking at stars you could never see in the city. Liam would point out constellations, tell me their stories. I had never seen him so relaxed, so comfortable in his own skin. No one judged him here. No one cared if he rocked when he got excited or needed to step away when things got too loud. We were just two brothers on an adventure. The last night of the cruise, we sat on the deck watching the sun set over the ocean. The sky was orange and pink and purple colors, so vivid they did not seem real. Liam was quiet for a long time, just watching the waves. Then he turned to me. "This is the best trip ever," he said. "Thank you for choosing me." "I will always choose you, Liam," I said. And I meant it with every fiber of my being. Always. He leaned his head on my shoulder, and we sat there until the stars came out. I thought about Amber, about the wedding that never happened, about the life I had almost chosen. And I did not feel even a whisper of regret. That $20,000, the money that would have been spent on a single day, on a party that would have been over in hours, had given us 2 weeks of pure joy, 2 weeks of memories that would last forever. It had reminded Liam that he was loved, that he was valued, that he was worth choosing. And really, what better use of money could there possibly be? When we got home, I felt different. Lighter. Like I had been carrying a weight I did not even realize was there, and now it was gone. Liam went back to his community college classes, still talking about sea turtles to anyone who would listen. I went back to work, back to my routine. But everything felt clearer now. I knew what mattered. I knew where my priorities were. Amber tried to contact me a few more times over the following weeks. The messages became less frequent, more desperate. But I never responded. There was nothing left to say. About 2 months after the cruise, Kyle told me he had heard through mutual friends that Amber was dating someone new. Some guy from her gym. I felt nothing. No jealousy, no anger, not even satisfaction. Just a mild sense of relief that she had moved on. The whole situation taught me something I should have known all along. Love is not about choosing. Real love, true love, never asks you to pick between the people who matter. If someone makes you feel like you have to choose, if they make you feel like your family is a burden or an embarrassment, then they are not your person. They are just someone passing through your life, and the sooner they pass, the better. I learned that defending the people you love is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is just saying no. Sometimes it is just drawing a line and refusing to cross it. And sometimes it is canceling a wedding 3 weeks before the date, because you realize that the person you are about to marry does not respect the most important person in your life. I learned that $20,000 can be spent in a lot of ways. You can spend it on a party that lasts 6 hours where half the guests will not remember the details a year later. Or you can spend it on memories, on experiences, on showing someone that they matter more than any event or expectation or image. Most importantly, I learned that I have no regrets. Not a single one. People asked me in the months that followed if I ever wondered what would have happened if I had married Amber anyway. If maybe we could have worked it out. And the answer is no. Because I saw who she really was. I heard the words she said about my brother when she thought it did not matter. And I know that marrying her would have meant a lifetime of fighting that battle of defending Liam's right to exist in my life. I would have been choosing between them every day in 1,000 small ways, until eventually I would have lost Liam altogether. Or I would have lost myself trying to keep them both. Liam is doing great now. He is more confident than I have ever seen him. He knows that no matter what happens, no matter who comes into my life, he will always be my priority. That security has changed him. He tries new things. He makes jokes. He is even talking about maybe taking some marine biology classes, maybe working toward a degree. He wants to work with sea turtles someday, help with conservation efforts. And I know he will, because he has someone in his corner who believes in him completely. As for me, I am not looking for a relationship. I am not swiping on dating apps or going to bars or asking friends to set me up. I am just living my life focusing on work, spending time with Liam building the life we have together. And you know what? I am happy. Genuinely, completely happy. Because I know I made the right choice. I know I stood up for what mattered when it counted most. Sometimes the best decision is the one that breaks your heart in the moment but saves your soul in the long run. The decision that costs you something but gives you back yourself. And if I had to choose between a perfect wedding and my brother's dignity, I would choose him every single time. No question, no regrets. Because at the end of the day, family is not about blood or obligation. It is about showing up. It is about choosing someone over and over again, not because you have to, but because you cannot imagine doing anything else. And that is exactly what I did. I chose Liam, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had to make a choice between someone you loved and someone you thought you loved? Have you ever had to stand up for what was right even when it cost you everything? Drop your story in the comments below. I would love to hear it. And if this story resonated with you, if it made you think about your own life and your own choices, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who might be facing their own impossible choice. Because sometimes we all need a reminder that it is okay to choose family. It is okay to draw lines. It is okay to walk away from people who do not respect the ones we love. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope wherever you are, whatever you are facing, you find the courage to choose what matters. Take care of yourselves and the people you love. Until next time.